Welcome back to Amateur Reviews. I'm your host, 1HP Tom, and today we are going to be talking about Sonic Superstars. And I'm going to cut right to the chase on this one. Sonic Superstars, in my opinion, is actually pretty good. Albeit there are problems with the game, and we will discuss those later, but I really just wanted to start off with the good stuff. So let's start off with the characters. So in Sonic Superstars, you can play as 5 different playable characters: Sonic, Tails, Amy, Knuckles, and this new character Trips, who can be unlocked after the main campaign is completed. She also has her own little side story to give you information about her. I mean, there's really no text or anything, you kind of just get it from the scene, but I mean, they have the comic and stuff as a supplementary thing if you want to dive into the character information from the comics afterwards, or even beforehand. It's really up to you. Anyway, the thing I want to say about the characters, and I speak broadly about all of them, is that their abilities and the things that they can do, even albeit it's very there's nothing really to say about it. It's just the fact that Knuckles' glide is perfect, Amy uses her hammer in a fantastic way, and Tails has his flying, which is exactly what we want. The way the characters played in this 2D game is how I wish they would play in the 3D. And I understand it doesn't translate exactly that way, but at least that would be a step in the right direction, is what I'm trying to get at. But anyway, it doesn't really matter what character you're playing, except for the character-specific acts. But the new Chaos Emerald abilities, once you unlock a Chaos Emerald through this awesome minigame where you're swinging through little grapple points to get to, you're basically chasing the emerald by grappling to the thing like you're Spider-Man. Sonic Team was like, hey, Spider-Man's coming out this week too. Hey, well, we'll beat Spidey to the punch. You know, I think that's funny. That's definitely not the reason why they did it. But I'm just saying that you definitely feel like any character is kind of like Spider-Man swinging in some of these things. The ones with the cannons are the harder ones, I will say, personally for me, because it's very hard to cut off the Chaos Emerald in that one. I somehow did it, don't know what I did to do it, but I guess I cut the angle enough to actually get ahead of it. And because you're also at the mercy of the homing attack thing, so it's not really perfect in the sense that you have control over it, because you're kind of at the mercy of the game and how close you are to a specific object. But besides that, it's a very fun minigame, and the fact that you get different abilities enhances the gameplay and gives the game a new twist that you otherwise would think, oh, this is just a new 2D classic Sonic and there's nothing really different besides the graphical difference in a way, and the fact that all the courses are brand new, which I will touch on in just a second. So the Chaos Emerald abilities, one could stop time, one could make doppelgangers, another could make you an asteroid and kind of shoot you higher to help you pop balloons and stuff. And the game does actually a really good job. I want to mention this before I forget, that it actually pulls it up for you when you're in a spot where you should use it. One actually discovers different invisible platforms, another does a waterfall, it turns you into water and you can climb up waterfalls. It makes swimming a lot easier too. And then even one makes a vine and it goes up so high, and then it kind of makes leaves so you can kind of hop somewhere else. I mean, these are very helpful for getting to hard to reach places with characters that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do that in certain Sonic games. But I also want to add that the replay value of the game increases because of the Chaos Emerald abilities, because then once you get the Chaos Emeralds, you can go back and replay that level to find new paths that you can take to give yourself a fresh experience in that act. So I thought that was a great addition for the game. Moving on, I want to talk about the courses, and all I really have to say, but I will get into specifics, is that they are brand new courses. That's all I really have to say. They are brand new courses. We are not getting Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant Zone, Flying Battery Zone all over again, for the 15th million time. We're finally getting something new, something fresh, something that will stand on its own, so it can be considered a brand new 2D Sonic game. And that's what I really enjoy about that. The way you move about the levels, yes, there are various elements that are very similar because there's only so much you can do in a 2D game, but the perspective change in like when you're going through on rails or going through like the pinball sections of certain areas or going through the water level, because we gotta have a water level. It just felt like it was new because the atmosphere was a new setting. And that's what I appreciate about the game, because it's not just beating us to death with the same style and same concepts. Like some of the perspectives we got as I was running through the game were actually very unique, and I really thought that it gave the game more character for itself. And some of the obstacles, like I said before, you can only do so much, but I feel like they really made it work. And as a standalone Sonic game, I want to say the 2D is headed in the right direction because of this. It's not really, they kind of took like the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze aspect where, you're in the background and then you're also in the forefront, which is awesome. Sonic, I feel like Sonic's done that before. I'm pretty sure he's done it before. If not, then I'm just mistaken. But I know it was definitely in Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. So that was a good addition, I'd say. And just the fact that there's so much exploration that you can do in these courses. I often found myself kind of running my time up. Like my first time through, it took me about like 4 or 5 hours to beat the game, but that was also with the fact that I was dying a lot to the enemies, which wasn't really a complaint. I mean, it did get frustrating, like fighting like the final boss like for an hour straight and not like getting the timing down right. But I mean, that's just customary in all Sonic games. If you look back, like all the classic 2D Sonic games were like that, so it's only natural for it to be just like that. But what I'm trying to say is that when I was playing these levels, I was going through and really just taking my time. Like, I wasn't getting the bonus on my score, but like, I mean, if you care about getting the highest score, I mean, I can just do that later once I learn the courses, but I was exploring them more. I was trying to find things and see what kind of things I would encounter, or like where do you get a lot of the rings and stuff like that. So when I did collect all the Chaos Emeralds, I could hop into Supersonic as fast as I could, and stuff like that. I felt like there was a lot of good exploration you could do in the game, and it wouldn't feel that bad to do it. Like, it felt fun to do it, because even though there are like some challenges with some of the things, and you have to, and you'll die a lot because I'm going too fast and I get squished. That's just the nature of the beast, I guess. But it was still fun at the end of the day. And each area had its own theme, which I thought was awesome. There's one that I want to actually warn you guys about because of how cool it was, in my opinion. I really enjoyed Area 9. Area 9 only had one act, but it was the fact of how Sonic looked the way he did, and how not even just him, but also the enemies looked, that really like popped out to me. And that kind of just goes into the art style of the game. I thought, like, yes, this art style was a pretty good fit for it. Like, the animation, I will say this gripe now, but this animation was good, but then there was also like sections of the game where it wasn't. And what I mean is, when you're Supersonic and you go into a boss fight or a cutscene plays, it immediately kicks you out of the Supersonicness. I wouldn't even call that like an animation problem. Technically it is, but it just didn't feel natural. Like, why didn't they go the extra step just to make it so, if you're playing as a certain version of a character, like Hypersonic or Supersonic, Hypertails, Knuckles, Amy, whatever, then why kick your character out of that so then you have to get back into it, and then you may not have enough rings to get back into it at that point. And that's where it kind of burns you, because I'm starting a boss fight and now I have to fight it normally when I wanted to use the Supersonic part of the boss fight. So I thought that was weird. There was also an animation clip where, and this was in the final boss fight of like the main campaign, where the background, I didn't notice it until I played Trip's story, actually. I want to say it happened when I was playing as I was playing as Sonic, and it happened there too. But in like the second phase of the final boss fight, what happened was the background, I kept noticing this flicker as I was running around the circle, and I'm going to be very vague about what's going on because I'm not trying to spoil anything either. So essentially, you're running around, right? I mean, that's pretty much how most of the boss fights are. You're on like a fixed thing that just keeps going and going. And what happened was, after a set amount of frames, the thing would cut. It was like a loop. And that wasn't the only time. It happened in the credits. And then another thing that happened was when you would be going too fast, the game would actually glitch out. And I didn't experience this problem early on. It was more or less like after like 15, 20 hours in, that what happened was you would clip, and you would be on this platform because you would actually, like, that's where you were, but the game would actually clip you back down to a different platform because the game couldn't actually process what was going on properly, which so far was the only things that were like bad about the game. So I don't really have more gripes unless I think of other things, but those are like the main things that kind of stood out to me. But if I think of more, I'll talk about them later. But for now, I want to move on to talking about the boss fights. Each area's boss fights were unique, I would say. They had multiple phases. Some of them had like patterns where, if you hit a boss like 2 times, it moves to the next phase. Like, of course, if you're using Supersonic, it's different with how like the rules are, because sometimes Supersonic can kind of like make one hit too, because he's Supersonic. But that's besides the point. Like, as for like the final bosses, they took a lot of hits. They had 2 phases apiece, and some were very difficult, I will say, especially the first time. I will say all 3 final boss fights, because there are 3 boss fights to do. We have the main campaign, and the second campaign, and then, or the side story, and then the true final boss. All very difficult. Took me probably like 45 minutes to an hour to actually do. Actually, I'm lying about the second one. The second one took me 3 hours. And that's because there were a lot of things that I didn't expect in that one, and that one was crazy. Especially because the first phase is very long and drawn out with how much you have to wait for the enemy to actually do anything. So I guess you could say that's a complaint, but like, I got over it. I decided not to waste my time getting mad about it because it's just following the classic Sonic formula, and like, why just complain about everything? So, I mean, I learned my lesson with Sonic Frontiers. I like Sonic Frontiers, but man, I hope Sonic doesn't keep doing open world. That's all. But anyway, I digress. I want to now talk about the music. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I'll add it to the end of this section. Okay, so the music was great. Like, the one thing you can count on in Sonic is the music. The music always carries in Sonic, right? With this soundtrack, yes, the soundtrack was very good, and they had some really good, like, original pieces, right? I mean, everything was pretty much brand new, which is great. I mean, even the Supersonic theme was a rendition of the, like, main theme, which was cool. I liked it. Not bad. My one issue, though, was the fact that the audio kind of overlaps in certain sections. And what I mean by that is, say you're Supersonic and you fight the Act 1 boss of Bridge Island Zone in Supersonic and you win. When you're out of the fight, the audio will still play for Supersonic, and the audio for the actual act will play, and nothing. For me, I'm just like, I don't know how that kind of like got over the audio engineers, but that didn't happen just there either. It happened in other spots too, which made me confused, because I was like, the music's always great. I mean, for me, there wasn't really a certified like, oh, this is an absolute banger of a track. Like, they're all great tracks, but for me, I wasn't like, oh, this is the greatest Sonic music ever made, like, because I mean, it's hard when you're really good at making music and you're putting out certified banger after banger, then you kind of just like even your good stuff. Like sometimes it can't be fantastic every time. But I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying it was good and it was enjoyable to listen to. But this is not the type of music where I would put it on to like a different video or even just kind of like listen to it outside of the game. And that's just my opinion. I'm sure other people could feel differently about that. That's just how I feel about it. So yeah, that pretty much sums up my thoughts and I guess review of Sonic Superstars. Great game. If you're a Sonic fan, you'll like it, especially if you grew up on the classic Sonics. This is a decent game. You may encounter some issues while playing it, but not all the time. I guess it really just depends on the version you're playing to, because I'm playing on the PS5 version, and I didn't really start noticing issues until like later on. I should also mention, I forgot to say this earlier, because I just remembered it now, but there was a couple times where I was super or hyper tails or whatever, and what happened was in the water level, I would clip behind enemies for some reason, and I was like, what? So I mean, there's that too. But that goes along with that other issue that I talked about earlier. It was just a different example. But overall, fantastic game. I am trying to platinum it. Another thing that is just a personal thing for me is that they don't give you like a stat tracker, because you have to defeat 100 enemies with each character's special move that they have. Like Sonic has Drop Dash, Knuckles. I think they want you to kill 100 enemies with his glide. They want you to kill enemies with Tails' just hover ability and Amy's hammer, and then Trip's double jump, which is her ability. And there's no way to track it, so unless you're aware of it, it's kind of difficult to make sure you're doing the move properly. Oh yeah, I forgot this too. I can't wrap this up yet. Like if you've made it this far, I can't wrap it up yet. And the only reason why I say that is because the battle mode, I will flat out say I never played online. I did try the battle mode. There's cosmetics in this game for a robot version of your character, so when you play online, you have a distinct character that's different from other people, even though, I mean, somebody could make the same thing as you. But like, I played against the CPs and played the different things, and I thought it was cool. Like, I didn't mind it. Like, I thought that was one of the things you had to do for a second, and like, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was kind of challenging but once you figured it out, it was pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's a lot of potential there, especially if they can make something out of it. But there's also a shop. Like, you get like in the special stages and the bonus stages. There's two different. Like, the special stage is for the Chaos Emeralds. The bonus is for these medallions, and if you get 100 rings, you also get a medallion at the end of the course, and those medallions can be spent on getting these cosmetics for your avatar character that you use in this battle mode. So yeah, that was cool. Just added stuff. I didn't really touch on that before, but I thought I'd touch on it now because that's in the game. There's also a time attack mode. I'm probably never going to play it, but it's there for those who want it. And now I'm done. The Sonic Superstars review. It was like, some people were like, oh, it sucks, but I think it was decent. It was decent. If you want to play it, play it. It's worth it if you're a Sonic fan. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you.